Do our usual streaming thing. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. I just got back from a beach walk.
Ah, beautiful. Right. Okay, so the question that came through for this week, the reference was Kena Upanishad, part 1, mantra 4, and the commentary on the section known and unknown. In daily life, how do we change our focus using this principle? How can we better understand the subject-object relationship? How do we change our focus beyond the experience to that of the unknown? Okay, so let's have a look at what the mantra actually says. So the mantra reads, that indeed is other than the known, also beyond the unknown. So this is in the section where the student essentially asks the question, what is God? This is the shorthand of it, or what is the vitalizing principle that enables all experience, however you might want to phrase it. And this is part of the explanation that the Guru gives. It's other than the known and beyond the unknown. So in the commentary to that mantra, Swami Parthasarathy writes, the seeker has been given two powerful words, viditam, known, and aviditam, unknown, to research and trace his way back to Brahman. He has therefore to delve deep into the meaning of these two concepts, cover the extremities of their implications, and get to that which is beyond them. So in presenting this, it's not just information that we are receiving, but it's actually a method of reflection. And elsewhere in the commentary, he says that analysis leads the stream of reason to the ultimate reality. So it's important that when we look at these ideas, that we're not just taking them academically, that we can think of them as a practice that is changing the focus of our attention. And there's three questions that he poses there. What is the known? What is the unknown? And what is beyond them? So in answering these three questions, there are three interpretations. So the one mantra is catering to students of different levels, depending upon the interpretation you take. So let's just quickly go through those. So I'm not sure how well the color shows up on everybody's screen, but nonetheless. So we'll use the idea here of the 5 sheaths, which we have some familiarity with. So the 5 sheaths describe the human personality. The food sheath is the physical body, is a thing that's made up of food and becomes food for other creatures. The vital air sheath refers to the physiological functions, that energetic component of our being that we experience. The mental sheath is, of course, the mind. Then you have the intellectual or the wisdom sheath, which is the intellect, and the bliss sheath, which refers to the dormant tendencies that give rise to our personality, or of course vasanas. So that's the human personality. And outside the human personality is the world that we interact with. So everything here shaded in any kind of shade of blue is the known. It's the world of objects, emotion, and thought. It's our body and its perception. It's the mind and its emotions. It's the intellect and its thoughts. It's also the vasanas, the bliss sheath, the unconscious tendencies that we have. So everything there is encompassed in the idea of the known. So when you look at that, there's really nothing that doesn't fit into the known. It's absolutely everything. Then what is the unknown? The unknown refers to the Atman, designated there by the mantra or the symbol Om in green. Everything about our personalities and everything about the world around us is knowable. There's an aspect of us which is entirely unknowable in any of the states of consciousness, waking, dream, or deep sleep. The word that is used often is sakshi, and that indicates two aspects. One is that it is the vitalizing principle. It's the thing without which none of these equipments that we enjoy can function. It's like the electricity in the bulb and the heater and the fan, etc. So the way that perhaps we can think about that is that it is the underlying sense of I am, which then gives rise to I am wise, I am happy, I am alive. All of our experiences have this as their nature. I am such and such. Now, the type of experience, of course, changes. But there's something which, I feel like, vitalizes the I am such and such. It's that pure, unadorned I am. Now, that, he says, is the unknown. So what's the verse saying? Let's go back to the verse. That indeed is other than the known, also beyond the unknown. So it's other than the known, makes sense, other than the body, mind, intellect, beyond the unknown, beyond the Atman. So what it's doing here is pointing us in the direction of all pervasiveness. When we consider the self, the I am, capital S self, that enlivens me to act, perceive, feel, and think, we tend to limit it to this individual. In the same way that you limit the electricity in that bulb to that bulb. But there is electricity that exists across time, across space, across millions and millions of devices. So total electricity exists beyond the heat and the light coming from the bulb. It also exists beyond the electricity that is in that specific bulb. So the truth, the thing we are looking for through all of our pursuits, it's not this known set of experiences, nor is it simply the Atman which gives rise to your subjective experience. It exists out and beyond that. This is the first interpretation. Second interpretation, the known refers to the outer four sheaths, and the unknown refers to the bliss sheath. The way to understand this is that when we talk about the known, we're talking about the states of waking and dream state. You know your waking state. It's full of objects, perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. You know your dream state. Your dream state is also full of perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. That's known to you. You don't know the deep sleep state. What was your deep sleep like? Oh, much different to last night. Doesn't make sense. There's nobody there to know it. You can introspect and observe your actions, observe your emotions, observe your thoughts, your values, your beliefs. You can't observe your vasanas. They are unknown to you. So what is beyond the unknown then? What is beyond the unknown is that vitalizing Atman. Third interpretation, we can make these sorts of affirmations. I know English, I don't know French. Easy to make. You take it one step further than that, and you can say, I know that I know English, and I know that I don't know French. You're able to, if you like, abstract. Take a step back, and it becomes a known known. It becomes a known unknown. What is it that peers into your personality and says, yes, the knowledge of French is absent? What is it that peers into your personality and says, yes, the knowledge of English is present? It's that knowing principle. It knows what is there, and it knows what is absent. So the known refers to, in this case, something like English. That is the known. The unknown refers to, in this case, French. French is unknown. What lies beyond them both is that witnessing knowledge. I know that. I know that. So these are the three interpretations. In daily life, how can we change our focus using these principles? So in any situation that we are in, it's the same three questions. What is the known? What is the unknown? What is beyond them? You are at your workplace, you are arguing with a family member, you are making any kind of decision, you are reacting and responding to your world. One of the biggest problems that we face, whether we're on a spiritual path or whether we're just living our daily lives, is that of complacency. What is complacency? Complacency means taking things for granted, accepting things as true without really knowing that we are accepting them. The most powerful example of this is the dream state. When you wake up into your dream, all sorts of crazy circumstances are around you. We never question them. We take them at face value. Oh, I'm in France today? I'm in France. I woke up in France. You woke up this morning in your room, in your house, in your city. You didn't question it. You just took it for granted. In any situation that we are in, we're always somewhere involved in this way. We have taken things for granted. There are things that we presume to be true without really knowing it. So how can we use the ideas that we've just discussed to change our focus? That is, other than the known, also beyond the unknown. So what are these things? Here I am. I'm about to discuss someone's behavior with them. Again, it could be a child, could be a friend, could be a partner, could be a boss or a subordinate. What do I know? And list out the things that are relevant. You can't list out everything that you know. You'll be there forever. The things that are relevant to your current situation, relevant to whatever is occupying your attention and driving you to respond. What do I know about this? And of course, how certain am I? What do I know for certain? Now that list is a lot smaller. What do I suspect? Okay, now that list goes on forever. What do I know for certain? It's a very small list. But this is one of the ways that we can use this. It is other than the known. Okay, so what is the known? List it out. And this other question, how certain am I? This is a really important one, because as we ask that question, certain things might migrate off that list of what do I know and onto the list of the next question, what don't I know? Now, this is an interesting question to ask because, of course, you don't know what you don't know. But there will be certain things that come to your mind. What do I know? I know that this person lied to me about something specific that I asked them because I found out the truth. And I know that they know the truth. What don't I know? I don't know why they did it. I don't know what their mental state was during it. I don't know what kind of pressure they're under. I don't know what challenges they're facing. If I don't ask myself this question, all of these unknown knowns get filled in nonetheless. So take a simple example of someone lying to us. We will tend to fill in all of the gaps surrounding their intention, their mental state, their opinion of us, what they're trying to achieve, all of these things. We fill in the gaps based upon our own fears and desires. And we take those things to be true. This is the complacency. Now, filling in the gaps is not itself problematic. It's just something that the personality does. The problem is when we accept those gap fillers to be true without questioning them. And so this question of what don't I know is an important one. Even if we only get one or two items on that list, what we're doing is bringing to our awareness the fact that there are things I don't know. Now imagine if every argument you've ever had, if both you and the person you argued with went into that thinking to themselves, there are things about this situation that I don't know. And then started the discussion. The tenor, the direction of the argument would have taken a very different track. Just with that awareness, there are things that I don't know. So if we're actually going through this process literally and asking ourselves, what don't I know? Of course, don't be too hung up on, oh gosh, I've got to get all the answers to that. No, get a couple of things down, but retain the awareness that there are things that I don't know. So, how do you change your focus using this principle? What do I know? Think about it, list it. What don't I know? Think about it, list it. What is beyond these two things? Now, the answer to that question comes to you. Once you have sort of prepared the mind, if you like, by directing it with these questions, it's a little bit calmer. You've actually got a broader and deeper understanding of whatever situation you happen to be in. And it's in that new state that you've created through this self-reflection process that you can then say, what lies beyond these two lists? The answer to that question completes the picture of changing your focus. So I've sort of understood the term changing your focus here to be changing your mindset, the kind of attitude that you're going in with. Okay, any questions on that before I get to the next aspect of the question?
James, when you see your attention, and again, yeah, like you said, it's the attitude as well. The tendency is that it will slip back to again what your assumptions that come in again. Is that then another, call it acid test, that the mind is still not prepared if you feel that agitation?
I would say that, as you say, it's not necessarily an indication that the mind's not prepared, but exactly like you have said, that it just slipped. And it's a good point that you bring up, because this happens. We put ourselves into an attitude or a worldview or a mindset. That's probably the better word, actually. We put ourselves into a mindset that we believe works for us through effort, and then we sort of slip back into the one that we are more used to, which is less effective. It's not that the mind wasn't prepared adequately the first time, it's just that there is natural slippage. It's like anything. It tends to go back to its earlier state. It doesn't mean that there was anything done that was wrong, but it is a good reminder at that point to move back. So you might spend, let's say you're going into a situation where you know you're going to have perhaps a tense conversation with somebody. You might spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes in quiet self-reflection beforehand doing this. All of that's been done. So if you feel yourself slipping back and somebody says something and all of a sudden you are agitated and frustrated and etc., and that clicks back to you, I've slipped out of my mindset, then what you can do is redo that same earlier preparation, but because you have just freshly gone down that route, you might be able to simply do it by just close your eyes and say the known, and just bring to your mind the list. When I say bring to your mind the list, I don't mean go through the list. Bring to your mind the existence of the list. There's a bunch of stuff I know. Don't worry about what it is. You've already gone through that. It's there in memory. It'll come back as necessary. There's a bunch of stuff I don't know. Again, don't worry about the list. What's beyond it? So you might simply just reconnect with known, unknown, beyond. And that will help to reset you there, in whichever way that's done. The other aspect here, of course, is that you would be probably unlikely to use this kind of technique purely on its own. You may do, but associated with this would be other goals and ideals that you're looking to achieve. It would be taken for granted, of course, that, I shouldn't say that. It would be understood as read, that you're doing this with some positive intent. It's my obligation to have this conversation with this person. I want the air to be cleared between us. I want the tension from this unspoken thing to be gone. This is for the health of our relationship. This is for etc. So you've got a clear and positive intent associated with it. If you slip and find yourself agitated, frustrated, etc., then it means that intent has also shifted back to something more personal. So this reconnection, known, unknown, beyond, would also bring you back into that clear intent that you went into it with. Taking your clarification another way, if you go through this process in advance of some sort of conversation or other situation, and you find that it has zero effect, and that you're as agitated as you would be as if you'd done nothing, then it means that you haven't prepared yourself in any way. And if you find that that's the case, then you can look at it in two ways. One is that this principle doesn't seem to apply in these kind of situations. doesn't really seem to be that practically useful here. What else from the buffet of ideas is going to work for me here? Or you might say, where perhaps do I need to tweak my usage of it? Why hasn't it worked? Because, when I thought about it, when I heard about it, it seemed to make sense that would actually help to give me a little objectivity going in. Do I need to think differently about how I'm using it? Any other clarifications? Okay. So the next two questions: how can we better understand the subject-object relationship, and how do we change our focus beyond the experience to that of the unknown? So I've taken these questions together. The first of the questions, you'll see the question is written subject with a capital S. So I'll take that as intentional. When we write the subject with the capital S, we're talking about the self, capital S, pure consciousness, the identity, or that aspect of our identity that is not defined by action, perception, emotion, and thought. That which is always the subject of experiences and never the object. So just with regards to that last idea, if I am involved in my emotions, I'm a very emotional person at that moment, then for me it seems that my mind is the subject. It's where I is located. It's where I am located. If I have a moment of clarity and I suddenly realize the emotions that I'm experiencing, how I'm reacting to the situation and how that's driving my responses, now I'm looking at my emotions. Now my mind, or that part of my mind, has become the object. Just a moment before, I was subjectively involved in it. Now I'm objective to it. I'm looking at it. But now I'm involved somewhere else. Now the subject has moved to a different part of the personality, if you like. We can say it's moved more into the intellect. I am the observer of this emotional turmoil. So what was once the subject has become the object. When we use the term subject with a capital S, it's that dimension or that aspect of the personality which is always subject. It cannot be made object. And so this is the way that we understand human experience to work. It is always the meeting point of subject-object. So how do we better understand the subject-object relationship? And how do we change our focus beyond the experience to that of the unknown? So this is one of the, let's go here. This is one of the ways that, again, the Swami describes it. You have a pool of water, you have light coming in, strikes the pool of water and reflects off. And you can see the reflection on the wall. Let's say for some reason it's a coloured water, it's green or blue or red. And there's some movement of air, so there's ripples on the surface of the water. The reflection that you see on the wall will be red and rippled. That's what you'll see. The way to understand this in terms of the philosophy is that the thing that you see on the wall, the reflection, takes the qualities of the water. That reflection can only exist because of an unconditioned light that strikes that pool of water. As it does so, it becomes conditioned to give rise to the exiting ray of light. This idea is how all of our knowledge arises. And when we say knowledge, we're not talking about the stuff that I know, that I can impart. Oh, I know that the capital of Norway is Oslo. I know that French Revolution took place in such and such. Not these things. Knowledge refers to your world. What is known to you? What is known to you is the perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. Your whole world. Everything that we're experiencing right now, this is the reflection. The thoughts that you are experiencing, they are a reflection. So if you look down at the bottom here, he has thoughts unknown. Thoughts per se are not known to us. What is known to us is the reflection once they have been bathed in light or bathed in pure consciousness. So he uses, to help illustrate this idea, the analogy of visual perception. So I don't know if my camera will pick it up because I have the blurred background on, but there's a pen. Do you see the pen? Yes, I see the pen. And of course, the reply is no, you don't see the pen. What you see is the light that has bounced off it and entered into your eye. The pen always remains hidden. We infer the existence of the pen because we can see it. All that we see is the light reflected off the object. So, what is our perception, the thing that is seen? It is the union of the unseen object and the unconditioned light. So, what are two things that we never get access to? One is the pen itself, the actual object, and the other thing is the light coming in. We can't see the light coming into it, but we do have access to the light coming off it. What is known to us? What is unknown to us? So let's go back to the original question. How can we better understand the subject-object relationship? What is the known? All this moment is known to me. It's all I have. All I have is the present moment. It's all I've ever had. And it's filled to the brim, like a movie screen is filled to the edges with perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. What is unknown to me? Well, the underlying thoughts that give rise to this experience. What is unknown to me? The subject, which becomes a subjective experience in the same way that pure consciousness becomes a conditioned consciousness. Pure light becomes conditioned light or objects. So this is one of the ways that we can understand the subject-object relationship using this, is that the subject is necessary and ever present, but always remains hidden. It's like looking at objects and trying to see the light that comes into them. You'll never be able to do it. How do we change our focus beyond the experience to that of the unknown? It's simply a matter of reflecting upon these ideas and contemplating upon them as well. So the reflection is the analysis part that we just went through. Which aspects of the analogy track on to the truth that we're trying to convey? It's the gross intellect, thinking through, understanding what has been presented, checking to see that it makes sense. The contemplation is the subtle intellect. There's that line that I put in towards the beginning. The analysis leads the stream of reason back to the truth. When we're looking at the known, all this, and when we are looking at the unknown, it's not just an academic exercise. This idea of contemplating on these ideas is to recognize that there is an unknown. It's not simply to, again, academically say, yeah, of course there are things I know and things I don't know. Yeah, it makes sense. It's not a makes sense sort of experience. It's a contemplative experience, which is to, if you like, accept or experience the existence of the unknown. It's perhaps a little bit like the question that we've posed in other classes at different times. Why is there something instead of nothing? The great sort of ontological mystery. There is something that we can be sure of. I wake up into it every dream state, every waking state. There's something. Even my deep sleep is a something. There's a world and I'm interacting with it. Why is there something instead of nothing? It's not just an interesting academic entertainment. As a contemplation, it requires us to sit in the, if you like, in the experience of nothingness. Sit in the experience of somethingness and recognize their contrast. So the reflection and the contemplation are different sorts of activities compared to just note-taking and comprehension. So that changing of the focus beyond the experience to that of the unknown, that's something that is done as a regular, ongoing, quiet, individual practice. As you do that more and more, you bring it more and more to your daily life. And then you can use these other more relative descriptions, like we spoke about here. And when you use these more relative descriptions, what do I know about this person? What don't I know? What lies beyond them? Those reflections that you've had will naturally be evoked from within. That sense of a deeper unknown that is truly unknowable to someone in the waking, dream, or deep sleep states, that returns back to you. Okay, any clarifications to any of that? Okay, any other questions that anyone would like to bring up? Okay, in the absence of further clarifications or questions, I can let you go home early. As always, appreciate the attention, appreciate the questions coming through. We are back Sunday morning, Pacific time, for our usual Vedanta Treaties class, Monday for the Q&A, Tuesday for Gita, and then continues to roll on. Okay, so thanks folks, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.